The year is 866. The city of York falls in a single day. Screams echo through the streets as Viking warriors pour in, torches blazing. At the heart of the chaos, carried on a shield above his men, sits a commander who cannot walk. Yet no king in England can stop him. His name is Ivar. They call him the Boneless. Feared as a demon, hated as a conqueror, and remembered as one of the greatest Viking leaders who ever lived. How did a man without the use of his legs bring mighty kingdoms to their knees? This is the story of Ivar the Boneless, a tale of unyielding ambition that reshaped the fates of nations. Imagine the rugged fjords of 9th century Scandinavia, where the sea meets jagged cliffs and the wind carries the salt of distant horizons. Longships rest on icy shores, their prows carved with fierce dragons, ready to slice through waves. Warriors sharpen axes under the ethereal glow of the northern lights, their breaths visible in the crisp air. It is here, around the mid-9th century, that Ivar is believed to have been born into a world forged by iron and legend. Norse sagas, written centuries later, weave tales of his father, the semi-legendary Ragnar Lodbrok, a raider whose exploits echoed across the seas, and his mother, the wise Aslaug, daughter of heroes from ancient lore. According to these sagas, a prophecy warned Ragnar that if he did not wait 3 nights after their wedding before consummating the marriage, their son would be born without strong bones. Impatient and headstrong, Ragnar ignored the warning, defying the fates as Vikings often did in these stories. When Ivar arrived, the sagas claim his legs were like soft cartilage, twisted and unable to bear his weight. He could never stand or walk on his own, a condition that marked him from birth. Yet even as a child, Ivar's mind was razor-sharp, honed like the edge of a battle axe. Carried on a shield by loyal companions, the young Ivar observed the chaos of battles from afar, absorbing every tactic, every feint and charge. He learned strategy not through physical prowess, but through keen observation, growing to despise weakness in others while turning his own limitations into a source of unbreakable resolve. By the 850s, historical records begin to illuminate the man behind the myth. A real Viking leader named Ivar emerges in Irish annals, raiding coastal monasteries with relentless fury. Alongside Olaf the White, a formidable ally, Ivar seizes control of Dublin, transforming it into a stronghold of Norse power. Scholars widely agree that this Ivar is none other than Ivar the Boneless, already extending his influence across the Irish Sea. His raids were not mere plundering, they were calculated steps in building an empire. But these early conquests were only the prelude. Greater storms were brewing on the horizon. Storms that would carry Ivar and his ambitions straight to the shores of England. What forces would propel this warrior to unleash vengeance on a distant land? Late summer, 865. A massive Viking fleet darkens the horizon off the coast of East Anglia, like a shadow swallowing the sea. Hundreds of longships glide toward the shore, their sails billowing with the promise of war. Thousands of warriors, hardened by years of raiding, prepare to disembark. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, that ancient ledger of English history, names this force the Great Heathen Army, the largest invasion fleet England had ever witnessed, a tide of Norsemen intent on more than fleeting raids. At the helm of this formidable host stands Ivar, leading alongside his brothers Halfdan and Ubba. United by blood and purpose, they demand horses and supplies from King Edmund of East Anglia, who, facing overwhelming odds, complies without resistance. The Vikings establish a foothold, resting and regrouping on English soil. But this is no mere respite, it is the calm before a devastating storm. Then they strike northward. Marching with disciplined fury, the army reaches York in November 866. Northumbria, the northern kingdom, is fractured by civil war, pitted between 2 rival kings, Osbert and Ella. Seizing the opportunity amid the chaos, the Vikings storm the city on March 21st, 867. The rival kings attempt to unite against the common foe, but it is too late. Both fall in the heat of battle, their forces shattered and their thrones claimed by the invaders. York, the jewel of the north, now belongs to the Norsemen. The sagas add a layer of grim legend to this victory, claiming that Ivar ordered the brutal blood eagle torture on King Ella as retribution for his father's supposed death in a snake pit, a ritual where the victim's ribs were carved from the spine and lungs pulled out like wings. Historians debate whether this horrific rite ever truly occurred, viewing it as a possible embellishment in oral traditions. But one fact remains undisputed: Northumbria is broken. Ivar now controls a Viking kingdom deep in the heart of England, a base from which to extend his grasp further. Yet this triumph is only the beginning. As the Great Army consolidates its power, whispers of further conquests spread like wildfire. How far would Ivar push his dominion, and which kingdoms would next feel the weight of his unyielding will? Winter yields to spring in 869, and the Great Army surges south once more, turning its gaze toward East Anglia. King Edmund, who had earlier provided supplies, now stands firm, refusing to bow to the invaders or abandon his Christian faith in the face of pagan demands. Ivar's warriors, undeterred, capture him. They tie him to a tree, riddle his body with arrows until he resembles a martyr's effigy, and finally sever his head. In death, Edmund becomes England's first royal saint, a symbol of defiance that would inspire generations, even as his kingdom crumbles. The army presses on, its momentum unbroken. Next falls Mercia, the wealthiest of the Anglo-Saxon realms. Wintering at Nottingham, the Vikings push deeper into the heartland. By 874, King Burgred, overwhelmed by the relentless assault, pays an enormous tribute in silver and flees to Rome, abandoning his throne and people. Mercia, once a bastion of power, collapses under the strain, its riches funneled into Norse coffers. In 870, Ivar shifts his focus westward. Sailing with Olaf the White, he navigates the River Clyde and lays siege to Dumbarton Rock, the impregnable fortress capital of the Britons of Strathclyde. For 4 grueling months, the defenders hold out, but desperation sets in. Forced to drink polluted water from dwindling cisterns, they weaken and ultimately surrender. Ivar returns to Dublin in triumph, his ships laden with slaves and silver, spoils that solidify his authority. Irish records from this era bestow upon him a title of immense scope: King of the Norsemen of all Ireland and Britain. From the bustling ports of Dublin to the fortified walls of York, his command holds sway. His family, the Ui Imair, establishes a dynasty that will govern these lands for 2 centuries, weaving Norse influence into the fabric of the islands. But as Ivar's empire reaches its zenith, shadows of mortality begin to loom. What fate awaited this conqueror who had bent kingdoms to his vision, and how would history remember the end of his extraordinary life? The year 873 draws to a close. In the annals of Ulster, a terse and ominous entry records: Imar, king of the Norsemen, dies of a sudden and horrible disease. This stark announcement captures the abrupt end of a life defined by conquest, leaving behind questions that echo through the ages. Contrasting this grim account, the Norse sagas offer a gentler narrative, suggesting that Ivar passed peacefully in old age, his battles behind him. Some traditions claim he was buried in England, his grave mound heaped with treasure and guarded by the spirits of his victories. Others point to a significant archaeological find at Repton, where excavators uncovered the remains of a warrior surrounded by the bones of 250 of his men. This central figure bore marks of violent wounds, his body arranged in a position of honor amid the slain. Scholars ponder if this was indeed Ivar, his possible lifelong condition, perhaps compounded by the rigors of war, until it claimed him. Did his fragile bones finally betray him, or was there more to his demise? The evidence remains inconclusive, allowing the man who conquered with intellect alone to slip quietly into the realm of legend, his final chapter as enigmatic as his origins. Ivar the Boneless may never have walked a single step under his own power, yet he marched across 2 countries, toppled 3 kingdoms, and founded a dynasty that shaped Britain and Ireland for centuries. The Dane law, Viking law, changed England's language, towns, and bloodlines forever, blending Norse customs with Anglo-Saxon roots in ways that endure to this day. His story serves as a profound reminder that true strength resides not in the body, but in the will. In a world of iron swords and wooden shields, one unbreakable mind proved sufficient to alter the course of history. Long after the longships rotted and the battle cries faded, the name of Ivar the Boneless still echoes across the North Sea, like a warning, like a challenge, like a legend that refuses to die. In the grand tapestry of human endeavor, his life illustrates how determination can defy even the harshest limitations, leaving an indelible mark on the world. If the legend of Ivar the Boneless captivated you, leave a like now, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for more epic Viking stories.